Yes, we are in a state of civil war in Iran. I was listening to Jadal Farsi trying to get my um, daily dose of news, and uh, the official regime propaganda is that they have lost thousands of people. Shalom, salam. Um, yeah, this is civil war. The There's a video of the IRGC bank in Tehran being burnt to the ground. Um, there are videos of Basijis, which are the regime's militias, being lynched by crowds. Um, the Islamic Republic can do no less than um, slaughter million, I, God forbid, slaughter um, thousands of people. I don't see. I don't see that they have much of a choice in that. Um, if they're going to try to continue, which I am sure they will try to continue. Um, I don't know what more to say. Um, there's a there's a war, a war of attrition. No, um, civil wars nowadays don't really work that way. There are going to be well, something that I did not think was a possibility is now a possibility, which is Iran may in fact disintegrate. Um, I didn't think that was a possibility. But um, the way things are um, currently, um, unless uh, they're um, unless Pahlavi can somehow bring people together um, to agree, um, and it becomes clear that it's impossible for the IRGC to continue the regime. Um, like I said, that I mean they're being lynched in the streets. So, um, and they're claiming to have lost thousands of people. This is the IRGC who is claiming to have lost thousands of people so far. Um, Now, many of the people that they're claiming were killed by the protesters were quite likely the protesters themselves. But that doesn't change the calculus of the fact is that I'm sure from what I've seen that hundreds of militia have been killed. There's a very broadly distributed video. Jadal Farsi that played it as well. I mean, I guess I could probably play it for you guys, but you can go find it. Motorcycle besieges trying to go through it. It's apparently Tehran, and the people just grab the last person and apparently just kill him. I assumed there was going to be a protest on Friday. I assumed so when I was a kid and for many years after, it was just normal for Persians to, on a regular basis, and anytime anything happened in Iran, to have a so the federal building on Wilshire Boulevard, you can find it easily on Google, is very prominent in Los Angeles, and it's also where the heart of Tehrangeles used to be, which is the Persian community here in Los Angeles. And although I think officially it's called Irangeles, people call it Tehrangeles, doesn't matter. Nobody calls it that anymore, really. But it got whatever. Anyway, so it used to be really, really common for people to have protests at the federal building. I remember as a kid, like weekly protests at the federal building was a social event, right? You went, you saw some of your friends, see who came, what people were up to, as one does. And I mean, my entire life, anytime something happens, if you drive past the federal building there, which obviously, I mean, do millions of cars go past that intersection every day? Certainly hundreds of thousands of cars go past that intersection every day. It's huge here. Let's give you guys a geography lesson in Los Angeles. But you'll all be able to know exactly where I live here. If I can obscure it. There we go. Okay. I won't dox myself to that point. Oh, I forgot to drop the link. In case anybody wants to join me, so this is Los Angeles. You know what? Maybe I can do it this way. Here, this will be a much safer thing for me to show than that. Yeah, okay. There we go. Will not have all of my friends' addresses on it as well. So this is Los Angeles. Why are my things so messed up? That's much better. There we go. Here is Los Angeles. See, Los Angeles. There's the United States. There's Israel, and there's Iran. And my family, well, my father's family that I talk about the most is from the. So Iranians have this belief that Iran looks like a cat. So if like, go ahead and like imagine it. Like, think of the cat, right? So this is up by here, that would be the head of the cat, and down here would be the tail of the cat. Okay. So my father's family is from over here, and Lake Urmia, which has basically gone dry over the past 10 years, is quite possibly where the word Aramaic comes from. And yeah, so they speak Aramaic over there. Okay, so this is Iran, and this is Israel, and this is the United States, and this is California, and this is Los Angeles. And when you go into Los Angeles, you will, well, so downtown Los Angeles is downtown Los Angeles, but if you go towards the beach, you will notice that this is where a lot of the money in Los Angeles is what you call it. Yeah, it does kind of look like it has a tumor on its back. Yeah. Sad, but pacifists don't get it. Not sure what you mean, but so this is where all the money is in Los Angeles, and the 405 and the 10 are combined right there. So this is like possibly the busiest interchange anywhere in the world. I could totally believe that. But when you go up on the 405 towards the valley and you get to Westwood, right? So there's the exit off Westwood, and there's the huge VA campus, and there's a cemetery there. And right here is the Federal Building. Actually, why don't I do this? There we go. So here we are at the Federal Building. And so at this corner is where people incessantly stand and hold signs, because there's all of Wilshire Boulevard right there, and it's nice and comfy, and if lots of people show up, you have like the park and stuff, and it's a federal facility. So yeah, it's a good place to it's a good place to have your little gathering, and people can generally park. I think people are even allowed to park right here. I'm not sure if you can park there, but there's enough parking I mean, there's plenty of parking and stuff. So anyway, so many a weekend in my childhood was spent going to protests. Well, maybe just for the first little while, but yeah, I thought it was 10 lanes. Yeah. Yes. And it's incessantly filled with people. Yes. Yes. Honk if you're Persian. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, Street View. Yeah, I should probably do that. So if you go stand, there's the huge federal building, and UCLA is just that away. And there's a lot of high rises right out in Wilshire. And yeah, that's our federal building. So there you go. Street view. Yeah. Okay. Oh, crossing's not a problem. There are lights, and the lights do change. And because, yeah, believe it or not, people have to get across this constantly, which is part of the reason it's so, yeah. Oh my God. Anyway, so now that you guys know so much more about, well, I don't like urban areas. Anyway, so I just, and recently that, so back to the 80s, in 1988, a famous comedian, Rafi Khachaturian, he's Armenian, Iranian. There's a lot of those. And Walk Light counts down from 20, if I remember correctly, but it might be even 30. So Rafi Khachaturian, so there was a protest. Rafi Khachaturian was there. At that particular protest, I guess there was a lot more pro-regime types as well, because this was for the U.S. mistakenly downing at a Iran Air passenger aircraft. And so the video's available on YouTube, but he was recognized and pursued and severely beaten. He lost an eye, and the next week he was back on television, and he vowed to continue. But the fact is, he was never the same, and within a few months, he had fallen into a deep, dark depression. And the videos, I watched some interviews later in life with him. Kind of sad. He had become a bitter and broken man. But I mean, it was the regime showing its strength, I think, and a lot of people think. And I mean, Iran does stuff like that, and I don't know if my parents really sat down and thought, "Oh, we're not going to the protests anymore," and certainly they weren't the only ones. But yeah, the protests actually kind of did get quelled, I think, in the 80s because of something like that, because of Rafi Khachaturian and stuff like that. Uh, but, you know, to this day, like when you drive past it, um, anytime anything serious is going on, there's usually, especially on the weekends, there's usually somebody who's protesting there. And um, Paul,
Hey, Jacob, how are you?
oh, about as good as you can be when the Civil War breaks out.
Yeah, I've noticed you've been streaming on this, but I haven't really tuned in much. So give me the skinny. Civil War is happening right now, in your opinion?
Yeah, today, like this is the first. Like when I saw the news today, it's the Islamic Republic is claiming. Let me give exact numbers. I wouldn't want to. So they are saying, um, what are they saying? I had it right here. Um, 3,117 people have died, and I don't have the exact number that they said um, that they said were innocent versus uh, people who were um, part of the mob, but they they claimed something like over 2,000 of the people who died were on the regime side. Now, a certain number of those, probably a majority of that 2,000. So I'm guessing something like 500 um 500 regime militia types were killed. I'm guessing. I mean, it's hard to know, um, but they're claiming that 2,000 people were killed on the regime side. And the videos are coming out of uh, the IRGC bank in Tehran was burnt down. Um, they There are videos of regime um, like being mobs lynching people from the regime, and so the response is going to. I mean, I don't see how they respond with anything less than ridiculous force to supposedly so many of their people being murdered. But actually, I mean, it the regime has lost hundreds of people apparently, at least. So I haven't been repeating the really large numbers of 12 to 20,000 dead already, um, because it's impossible to verify, even though I'm guessing CBS has gone pretty far before they say 15,000, and that's, if I remember correctly, CBS's numbers.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, thousands of people are dead, and I was listening to a regime propaganda thing, and They're calling it Iran's October 7th. That's
Wow.
what they're calling it.
Wow.
Uh, and October 7th of their own making, they shut down the internet and went out into the streets. But yeah, at this point, it's civil war.
Do you think the regime will fall?
This regime is definitely. I mean, it's on its last legs. But what do you mean by regime?
Well, do you
Well,
think there'll be a change of style of government? What do you think will be coming?
okay, I don't I don't think the style of government changed between 1976 and 1986. Because just as before, you had in 76 you had a Shah who had military and elites he had to deal with, and in 86 you had the Ayatollah who had the military and elites he had to deal with. Like, organically, how different Iran is going to look, like constitutionally, I think whatever Iran becomes, it's going to be a strong person who is going to have to, and this is so before tonight, I said I didn't think Iran could disintegrate. But seeing what's going on right now, unless Pahlavi is able to, so the Empress did something really um, impressive, which I so the I have to keep my Shahs clear. The first Shah, Reza Shah, this first Shah Pahlavi, Reza Shah, was installed by the British in the 1920s. He was removed by the British during World War II. His son Muhammad became Shah, and he's the one everyone knows as Shah.
Right. Yep.
And the wife who's the mother of the crown prince, who's also named Reza, who wants to be king. Um, she's still alive. She
Oh,
lives, yeah. So, and people refer to her as Empress Farah Diba. Farah Diba. That's her own last name, or Farah Pahlavi is her married last name. Anyway, uh, she came out with a statement um, declaring a moment of silence at uh, 12 noon on Friday, which, um, I mean, unless you're Muslim or you know a lot about Islam, might not be like, it was like, okay, 12 noon Friday. 12 noon Friday is when all Muslims are obligated to be in at the mosque.
mhm.
And so it's kind of a brilliant move. So she called for a moment of silence, and I'm sure there are going to be mosques. And what I mean, I saw that she had done this morning, but that was before I had gotten as much news as I have now, because um, I was just watching regime sources, and the regime is starting to talk. So that's verified. Like, yeah, the death toll is horrific. Um, but she announced a moment of silence, and so the big, I mean, basically every single imam is going to either have to take a side or say nothing. And in every single masjid.
Wow.
And I'm not sure how that's going to work. And what it allows people to do is to attend mosque in protest. People who don't usually go to mosque can just go and be there. And nobody can criticize them. You know? So it's actually a brilliant move. So seeing what happens Friday noon around the world is going to kind of say a lot, but unless something miraculous happens, I don't know what the United States. I don't know what the United States has up its sleeve. If anything, I don't know what Israel has up its sleeve, if anything. A lot of people talk about killing Khamenei. It would be the dumbest thing you could possibly do, and if they do that, I think if Israel or the United States takes out Khamenei, if they can arrest him, the way they did Maduro, like that would be different. But
I can't imagine getting in there to do that. It's a whole different thing than Venezuela.
It is a very different thing. It is a very different thing. It's. This is a funny fantasy of mine that that Mossad kind of was like, hey, we have to take you to a safe house, and or here we'll drive you across a border, and a few hours later he finds himself in Jerusalem.
Did you see the rest is history is now doing a thing on the Iranian Revolution? Did you watch that?
I didn't completely. I watched only a few minutes of it because people were asking me about it. It seemed remarkably good, better than I imagined. I've been recommending it to people despite not having seen it. But Tom Holland is, he's uniquely prepared. He's one of the best popular historians of Iran I think anybody has ever been. And yeah, so he has a depth of knowledge. So have you listened to it?
Yeah.
Okay. So when they started bantering about how Iranians hate the British and why and how it's it's kind of funny, but the British are basically the Jews of Iran. So how anti-Semitic conspiracy theories in Iran, it's all British conspiracy theories.
Yeah, that's what they said. Yeah.
Did they say that? Okay.
Oh yeah. They did. They said, and they feel a little pleased by it because it's like we don't have any of that power anymore. But it's kind of funny that they still look at us that way.
Yeah, they mentioned it. I don't know if they mentioned the conspiracy theories, but it is definitely to the point. It's a joke, right? So we joke about the Jews and people who are talking about the Jews. So in Iranian society, you make fun of people who are like, it's the English, because and I think Americans will find this interesting. like in the same way that Americans don't know that Iran is not an Arab country.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's one of those Arab countries.
Yeah.
Iranians think of the United States as one of those English speaking countries, right? So,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, the poor kitty.
she's fine. She dropped a heavy book on Lucky, but he's fine too.
Smart cat.
Yeah.
Poor Lucky.
You've seen Lucky.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but what was I saying? Like they really think like there really is a kind of thing like, oh well, the English, the Americans, like it's all the same thing, they kind of blur, right? Especially like I think there's a part of it which is kind of like, well, the United States is only 200 years old, like it's a colony,
Yeah. Yeah.
because especially, I mean, when you're studying history in Iran, like 100 years is like is what decades are in American history.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
So how are you feeling? Are you, I mean, do you still have many ties there, or it's just mostly emotional ties?
So Thanksgiving, my I have a cousin who um he's living in Iran. He wants his daughters to stay in Iran. He Except two of them came to the United States and got and got their schooling, and um, one of them tried to go back. So like he wants to stay in Iran, right? Because he's got everything there. He's a doctor. He's earning. He has lots of money. He's doing well, right? Um, and as far as I think he basically just they just pass themselves off as Muslims, um, and nobody says much. But so um, he wants to stay there, and like his daughters, basically, even the youngest one, she just turned 18 now. She's coming to the United States, right? And so the big thing in Thanksgiving was he was like trying to convince me everything's fine in Iran. You should come visit. You you wouldn't believe how good things are, and it's not like you think at all, etc., etc., etc. And my dad's like, stop arguing with him, and I couldn't keep myself from like jabbing, like, because it was just it is what it is. It is what it
Wow.
is.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So yes, I do have ties with people in Iran. Not a lot, but yeah, I mean, and there's definitely, especially the older. So I went to Friday night dinner at my sister's, not this past Friday, the Friday before, and I and she had a very large gathering, and I thought everybody would be talking about the situation in Iran. Nobody, nobody was talking about the situation in Iran.
Wow.
And I bring it up, right? And people were like, most of them were like fatigued. They're like, oh, it's just the same thing over again, right? And the usual people who usually there's a couple of people in my family who's like, oh, this is it, it's over, this is it, always, like every time there's a protest, like they're like, we're going back, they weren't, they were like, nah, nothing's happening. But two of the people I respect the most, who have the most analytical mind and usually say nothing, they actually, but I mean, I went and asked them, but, and this is over 10 days ago. I was like, no, this is different. And they also thought this is different. And now, I mean, part of the thing is none of the mainstream news is covering it.
No, it's not getting much attention.
Well,
I think it's no.
They can't let Trump and Netanyahu have the win.
Yeah.
And I mean, the fall of the regime, oh my God, especially without US troops involved. And I mean, the 12-day war has been incredibly, like, it's become a huge part of Iranian thinking, and the regime was humiliated, absolutely humiliated, and that's at least part of. I mean, it's not a single thing. You don't get a civil war over a single thing.
Yeah. The
12-day war is one thing, which ties in with their whole foreign, like one of the largest chants is Naqased na Lebanon Janam Fadai Iran. Not Gaza, not Lebanon, my life for Iran. And that may be the number one chant people have been chanting in the protests. Like, wow. What are you doing sending my money? Yeah. And like the hatred for Israel that members of the regime have. Most of the I think general Persian sentiment is, we don't care. We don't. Things were good when we were friends with Israel under the Shah. Israel has water desalination and water conservation things that could help us with our drought. Why are we fighting against Israel with people who a lot of them don't really consider to be brothers? They're Sunni.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I just wanted to pop in a minute, Jacob, because I saw you were, and I wanted to see what your thoughts were. And I will be praying for your family that you have there, and prayers that whatever transition happens, it won't be just bathed in blood. So,
well, it's already been bathed in blood. Let's hope less.
Yeah. Let's hope less. All right, Jacob. Have a good evening.
Yeah. Okay. That was Paul being nice and letting me talk. Oops. I did not do that. How did that happen? Yoav, מה שלומך?
I think I finally caught your cough.
Ah,
We're hanging too much together.
yeah, yeah. I can
Not
imagine.
good for my health.
How you doing?
Well, I'm fine. Everything here is normal.
Okay.
Winter has come. We have a bitter cold of plus 9 degrees Celsius, and everybody complaining about the coldest night ever in Tel Aviv, and how can we possibly survive it?
Mm.
Lots of internal politics news, internal corruptions, things like that. So, I mean, news here about Iran are important here, but are still drowning with, there's always so much happening here. So it's get a bit swamped out. And I don't know what the left is going to do in case of another Netanyahu victory. I just don't know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I didn't even imagine in terms of internal. Well, I mean, I have to say that the 12-day war has been an incredible success in terms of weakening Iran's regime.
Yeah. Comment about the Persian look at Britain. I found it interesting. There is Mr. Goat's Golden Guns on the internet, who is not Persian. And he's promoting this theory fiercely for years. He thinks that Britain is the major evil power beyond every misfortune in the world. Sometimes it fits. Sometimes he's having problems. He has the problem with Netanyahu because he hangs with some quite anti-Semitic crowd. So for him, of course, Trump is good, Netanyahu is bad. They are good friends. What do you do with that? So he thinks that Netanyahu is a secret double agent of Britain against Trump, attempting to implicate Trump in events that will lead to his downfalls in the end.
Look, if you want to paint the British as the bad guys, you really can. It's easy. I mean, I think it's easier than painting the Jews as the bad guys. But you have to have a conspiratorial mind. Like, I'll never forget when I was in college, these LaRouchites used to come and sell, give away their propaganda. And I looked through one of their magazines, and it was hilariously bad. But the main point of it was that Prince Philip, the prince consort of Queen Elizabeth II, is really the person who runs the entire world. And that was like basically the gist of all of their propaganda. And like LaRouche was not a he certainly never was a popular figure, but he was a well-known figure, and he had his little cult, right? So this idea has been around for a really long time. It's not without any merit. The British Empire did rule most of the world pretty much until very recently.
Fine. So, do you want me to fill the silence with some bit of Israeli history?
Sure.
Talking about civil wars. There's a bit of news surfacing about an event from 1947 in Israel. It was just the exact moment when the country was forming. And there was at least a prospect of a civil war between the left majority and right-wing minority within the very small Jewish population. So the situation is complicated, as it always is in the Middle East. We have just kicked out the British because that was British territory, and we just managed to, just in the process of managing, on the moment of managing to kick out the British, all the surrounding states declare war on the newly forming Israel. And we're talking about several well-organized and well-equipped armies. And we, much like the civilians in Iran, practically have no weapons at all. So the right-wing minority organized a shipment of weapons. Somehow the French government agreed to load the ship with weapons, which was not the rule at the time. I have no idea why they were doing it. I think perhaps they were very poor at the time, and there were lots of weapons hanging around that nobody wanted in Europe anymore. So the right-wing organization buys a ship and loads it with weapons. Now the British are still patrolling the seas. There was an embargo against supplying Israel with the weapons. So the ship takes all kinds of a complicated route and managed to sneak through and arrives on the shores of Israel. Now, first of all, there is a ceasefire declared. There is the war of Israel against the Arabs. So at that moment, there was a ceasefire declared. So you're not allowed to load weapons at the moment. But more importantly, the question becomes, weapons from whom? Is it going to be supplied to that right-wing minority organization, or to the just newly formed Israeli IDF as a group? And the understanding in principle was, yes, we are all going to unite together and we're going to fight this war united against several states, because otherwise we have no chance of winning. Not that we had any chance of winning anyway. So the general agreement is that, yes, everybody going to get these weapons. But still there is a negotiation. Maybe we'll keep some of it, maybe we'll ship it this way, maybe we'll ship it the other way. Those weapons are source of power. Politicians are reluctant to let go of it. And to complicate matters within the right-wing minority organization, there are dissidents and always a rebellious extreme faction that will not obey their leadership and they are demanding the weapons for themselves. The end result of an extremely badly managed crisis is that we have fired our gun, not too many of them in Tel Aviv at the moment. Maybe there was only one. We fired our gun at our ship and blew it up. lost the ship and the weapon and killed quite a number of our soldiers.
Yes. Very famous
That
occurrence.
is the Altalena affair.
Yeah.
And and then the cover up and the politics and the finger pointings. And I don't think that today you really know who to point the finger at. I will just leave it at extremely badly managed. But then we learned better. I think it was it was enough, and I think that stopped the Israeli civil war right there. And we gathered together and got our state. So what can I say? Weapons have to be smuggled into Iran.
So apparently, part of what's been going on is that people have been attacking, like people are taking over IRGC armories, etc. This is completely new. There are weapons in Iran, and I thought there would have to be smuggling in, but now what it looks like is the mobs are going and taking the weapons from the military, etc.
Okay, so and then of course you have to have immediate elections. I mean, I don't want to speak about Iranian cultures, but us Jews have a tradition of democracy from day one. So once there were elections, everybody accepted it. And the extremely militant right-wing minority just accepted staying as a minority for decades and working his way in a peaceful way.
I think there's no one alive today who remembers Iran before before there was elections for Majlis, at least. But the way it works in Iran is who gets to decide who gets to be on the ballot. And that's always been a there's never been there's no real way in which Iranians have figured out. Yes, the vast majority of Iranian citizens are used to the idea of referenda and choosing between X and Y, but it doesn't have the deep structures to democratically create your choices.
I don't know how it happened in Israel. What is apparent is that one day, at a certain hour, they opened an office, and everybody could walk in and register a letter for the ballot. And somehow there was this kind of corruption when the left was allowed to get into the office first. So they got the first letter, Aleph, Bet. The left got it, and the religious parties got after them and got Gimel and Daled. I mean, nobody will take Hey and then the right minority was let in, and they had to settle for the letters chet and tet. But that, I think, that was the extent of corruption.
How come people didn't take the hey and the vav?
Religious regions. I mean, later the extreme left, the communist left, took vav, but hey, will nobody touch them because the religious people will not just touch the letter hey. It will be too much of a significance.
Interesting.
Also, the letter zayin, people will not touch it until much later, I think.
Huh. Okay.
If you really want to have a protest party, in your face protest party will get the letter zayin.
Okay. No. Okay. I have work tomorrow. Things
I have
like
work now, which should have been out of the house already.
yeah. Okay, Mr. Man. Bye, people.